Hello everybody, Imminent Storm here, and today we're going to be starting up a new series playing the one and only, at the moment, Kerbal Space program. I've been looking to try to get this game on my channel for quite some time and finally have an opportunity to do it. So that is what I'm going to do. We're going to fire up a series of Kerbal Space program. Now this series is going to be structured so that we'll be doing one episode a week, posting most likely on the weekends, Saturday or Sunday. Still not sure how I'm going to play everything out there, but that's the current plan. One episode a week with hopefully a longer episode format than what I typically do for games on my channel. So that's, again, what I'm planning to do. I have actually been trying to get this series started, specifically this series started for the last couple of months, getting all the mods downloaded and installed. We'll be playing heavily modded. I'll be trying to put the mods list in the video description, so I'll try to get that done. Getting all those mods installed, running through some games, testing them out, making sure everybody works. And I think I've got a collection that is all going to play nice and function correctly, so I think I'm ready to go ahead and get started with this. Now, in that time, from the time that I actually, had a time slot open and started working on getting this prepared to now, actually starting it up, Kerbal Space Program 2 has been announced, which I am very excited about, because from what we've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be Kerbal Space Program, but better, and with new and more awesome things you can do. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. So for this particular series, what my plan is to go ahead and do as much as we can, until Kerbal Space Program 2 comes out. And once Kerbal Space Program 2 comes out, transition to that and see what that's all about. So that is going to be the plan for this series. So let's go ahead and start things up. We're going to be doing a new game. And I have decided that we're going to be doing a science mode game. For a few reasons. One of them being that I just want to be able to get as much done as I can. Career would probably be the most ideal for doing a series because, you have all your contracts you got to do, and you got to manage a bunch of different things. But, it's going to slow things down a lot, and I want to kind of get as much done and do as many things as I can in this while, before Kerbal Space Program 2 comes out. So we're not going to go full on sandbox. We're going to go science mode, so we won't have to worry about our budgets or anything, or contracts or anything like that. Getting the facilities upgraded and all those other sorts of things you have to do in career. But we still are going to have to gather science and unlock the technologies in sequence. So that is what we're going to do. Do we want to change any difficulty settings? Missing crews respawn. I guess we're going to turn that off. If I lose Kerbals, I lose Kerbals. Indestructible facilities, no. Stock vessels, no. Allow other launch sites, sure. Part pressure limits. Do parts fail when passing their pressure limits in dense atmosphere, deep underwater? I don't typically play with that on. I think I'll just leave that off for now. Pros require a signal for engine control rather than partial control. When lacking a signal. Now, we'll leave the partial control on because I do tend to forget to extend my antennas. So I'm going to leave that off. Okay. We're going to accept that. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish up, you know, naming my save game, picking my flag, all that sort of stuff off screen here. And then when we come back, we're going to be at KSC and go ahead and get started with our campaign here. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, and we are in. I think one thing I forgot to mention is kind of the rules we're going to play under that are basically not included in the actual game settings. As I think I mentioned, if Kerbals die, they die. Right? If we lose if we lose some of our Kerbonauts, they're going to be gone. Just is the way it is. So we're not going to be reverting flights, that sort of thing. Now, one thing I am going to allow myself to do, because in the interests of just keeping things moving, and not having to redo a lot of work, is that I am going to allow myself to quick save, and then revert to quick saves only. So I need to remember to quick save, which I think is... No, not that. Is it F? Yeah, F5 does the quick saves. Okay. So I'll need to remember to quick save during critical missions, parts of the mission. If I forget to do it, I forget to do it. But, you know, I'm going to allow myself to at least do that. And that every mission that is manned, has an actual Kerbal on it, must return that Kerbal to Kerbin before they die, or if they're going to stay in space on a regular or permanent basis, they must be maintained. I do have a life support mod installed, so we're going to have to make sure that we're going to have to do supply runs. If we set up any space stations or anything like that, Kerbals are going to have to be supplied in order to survive. So that is going to be the plan here. Alright, first thing we need to do is we need to get in here and get some science done. And for that, it's going to be fairly basic. And actually, the first thing that we're going to do here, vehicle assembly building, is we're not even going to launch a vessel. And I'm going to be trying to maximize science, at least as best I can. I actually have a mod installed that alerts me whenever new science is available, which you'll see here in a moment. Is we're just going to throw together a capsule. I'm going to go in here, science. We're going to have the mystery goo. We're going to slap that on there. And we're just going to drop it on the launch pad. This is a bit cheesy, but it's kind of what you want to do to get started. And if you hear that little noise, that is this. That's my little science mod that lets me know that we have a mystery goo observation that's ready. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now I do have I think it's the crowdsourced science mod, so these science messages should be fairly unique. This is the goo doesn't seem to be doing much right now. Okay, that's fine. We're going to do a crew report. All right, you look up the stars and begin to count. You realize you should take off before you fall asleep. Well, we can't really take off. We have no engine. And we're going to do an EVA report, which means we're going to EVA. EVA report. KSC tour stop number 531. Welcome to the launch pad. All right. That's already done. We can take a surface sample. The surface is charred and coated with burnt rocket propellant. There are also trace amounts of a conspicuous green substance. All right. Let's climb aboard. We have all of that. Bring the vessel back in. And that'll get us our first batch of science. Alright, so we got 15 science. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn that science into technology, which we have this new expanded tech tree, because we're going to have a lot more technologies available to us as we progress. Hopefully I can roll through this relatively fast. Alright, so basic rocketry, we can go ahead and grab that. Engineering 101, grab that. And I think that's as much as we're going to be able to get without actually launching a vehicle. So yes. So, we need to put together a basic hopper. And in fact, we're just going to call this new craft Hopper 1. Just to get us off the pad. Oh, and this is the flag I chose, because I found that pretty amusing. It's a cropped version of the the British Union Jack, but to make it look like a K for Kerbals. All right, so we're gonna need a parachute on this guy because we don't want to smash this thing into the ground, otherwise known as litho braking. I mean, litho braking is fun and all, but we want to recover this thing. We're gonna have some thermometers. We have Kerbal Engineer. That's installed. We also do have MechJeb, but I'm not going to be using this for autopilot. That's another rule that I wanted to discuss for MechJeb. Right now I'm using it primarily for informational purposes, though Kerbal Engineer is probably going to cover most of that. And I'm not going to use MechJeb to automate things until we're doing like repetitive stuff. All missions have to be flown manually first, at least once. But, if we're running supply runs to, like, if we have a space station in orbit somewhere where we just need to run supply runs, I might just use MechJeb for the launches and rendezvous and everything because, that'll get repetitive to have to do all that manually. Alright, so the other thing we want to do is, do we have any decouplers? We do. I have a stack decoupler. We're going to throw our RT5 Flea solid fuel booster on there, which is the smallest one we've got. And we're going to give it some fins for stability. Alright. Alright, so Hopper 1. We're going to save this. Well, I guess we'll keep Jeb on there. I need to grab some more crew. We'll keep Jeb in there because, he technically was in the last, mission, if we can really call that a mission, but he didn't really fly anything. I am going to want to be cycling my Kerbals, so I'm going to want a good, solid crew selection. Alright, is my staging good? Staging should be good. Alright, we do have some science we can do here. We have a temperature scan we can take. Let's do it. And let's go ahead and get this thing off the ground. And I'm going to angle us over. We're going to deploy all except the EVA. Crew report. Temperature scan. Yep, the ambient temperature is the definition of beach weather. Crew report. The shores look inviting and you watch the waves roll into coast. I think we need to look at the mystery go. The goo-goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Alright, good. Let's ditch that. And let's deploy our chute to get us some drag so that we don't start falling too quickly. Because with these really lightweight vessels, with the altitudes we're dealing with, it is possible to fall at such a rate that our chutes won't work. And if we are falling too fast and we can't deploy our chutes, we're going to either litho brake or hydro brake. And, well, our Kerbals probably won't survive that. Alright, 6.1 meters per second. That should be plenty. There's a part of me that says, can I EVA? Can I EVA, get the report, yes, and then reboard before we hit the water? Yes, we can. Okay, good. So we get that flying over Kerbal EVA report. Reviewed stored data, EVA report. You hang onto the craft one-handed as you use your other hand to fight off a particularly persistent seagull. Alright, we have a mystery goo observation from the water. There we go. The goo wobbles around in its container and starts to seep out of the holes. Alright, and we need to do an EVA. We should do an EVA. And then we can do another EVA report. Good thing these spacesuits act like flotation devices. Indeed. And a surface sample. Alright, you've taken a sample of the water here. There are bits of vegetation in it, suggesting a strong likelihood that there is land nearby. Yeah, it's right over there. The other thing I want to do is take the data out and store it so that we get the crew report that we've took out and stored. Just kind of a quirk of way things work, so that we can then take another crew report. Alright, the crew highly doubts the floating capabilities of this craft, though it seems to be floating fine. Alright, so that should be all that for this particular flight of this vessel. So let's go ahead and recover that and see what we've got. We're going to run another one before we really do anything else. Alright, we got 50.3 science gained. That's pretty good. Jebediah Kerman survived. Perfect. Alright, so we're going to do Hopper 1. We're going to bring Valentina, our other pilot, on this particular flight. And this time we're going to go the other way. See if we can get science from the actual ground. Alright, let's bring that panel open so that we're going to be able to see it. We don't really need to throttle up because the solid rocket boosters are either on or they're off. There's no throttle involved. So let's go ahead and hit it. Alright, is that going to get us into the actual grassland area? I think it is. Alright, now we're starting to go down. Let's ditch that. I want to let this thing drift a bit more. Got to keep an eye on things. There we go. Deploy the chute. Alright, deploy all except EVA. Group port while flying over Kerban's Grasslands. Hey, you can see my house from here, I think. Temperature scan while flying over Kerban's Grasslands. The temperature seems cool and comfortable. It's probably due to the acres of green grass that stretch to the horizon. Alright, oh, there's our booster hitting the ground. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to EVA here. We're going to take that EVA report. Mission Controls assures you, don't panic. Alright. take that crew report data, store it, and then get back on board. And then we're going to wait to touch down. And then we'll probably run a bunch of experiments from the ground. Let's just go ahead and time warp. Get us to the ground. There we go. Deploy all except the EVA. We have the crew report. Alright, the goo takes on the shape of a leaf. Temperature scan. The temperature here is quite pleasant and would be a nice place to live. And the crew report. You look forward to opening the capsule door and smelling the fresh, earthly smell of grass. Oh yeah, we have to wear these stupid spacesuits, even on Kerbal. Whose great idea was that? I think that was probably written before we could actually take our spacesuits off. So if we EVA, I can go in here and say remove helmet. There you go. And then we can do our EVA report. As you go trudging through the grass, you hope you don't step on a cow patty. The spaceship will stink for the rest of the trip. Yeah, that would be bad. And a surface sample. Yep, looks like dirt. Get on board. And with nothing else to do, let's go ahead and recover the vessel. Get all of our science. And we got 33.8 science from that trip for a total of 90. And that means we can go here and spend it. General rocketry, let's grab that. Stability, absolutely going to need that. Survivability, yes sir. Basic science, we don't have enough for that. Doesn't get us some batteries. And the Science Junior, which is important because that thing generates tons of science. Let's see, any of these can we unlock? No. We have the KW rocketry mod installed. Alright. Well, let's see what we can do with the parts we now have available. We may be able to get a suborbital rocket that can break atmosphere. That would be nice. Let's see. Let's take all these parts off. We're going to say this is a new ship. I'm going to call it Needle 1 as our first, like, real proper rocket that might get us into space. So, let's see what we've got. I need service bay, because I want to use that. We got that unlocked. Let's open that up. We don't have any batteries yet, right? No, we don't have any batteries. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our science stuff and we're going to stuff it into this payload so that it keeps the exterior of the ship nice and aerodynamic. So we got our goo containers. We got our thermometers. And we have the new press mat barometer. So that's going to provide us with some new stuff. And actually, what I may want to do is throw some more thermometers and barometers in there just so that we can take lots of recordings as we fly this guy. So let's go ahead and close that. Now, this is a very lightweight, not a very structurally robust piece of equipment. So we're really going to want to slow this thing down before we hit. So I want to go ahead and use the real shoot mod that we have. And throw a couple of radial chutes on there. To give some additional braking. And because we might be coming in at some serious velocities, let's throw a heat shield on there just in case, so we don't blow up or burn up. And then we're going to need a decoupler to separate all of the engines from the capsule when we're on our way back. Alright, so we actually have some liquid-fueled engines available now. We have some strap-on boosters. Alright, so for fuel tanks, I'm going to go with the KW rocketry fuel tank, the SA-1 LFT, a 1.25 meter liquid fuel tank. And I think we're going to stack 2 of those up here. We're going to make this a multi-stage rocket. And I'm going to use the KW rocketry Vesta VR1. Which is a relatively low thrust, high efficiency engine. And because we have the engine ISP, which is what they call specific impulse, 260 at sea level, 335 in a vacuum. The long and short of this, I'm not that familiar with how this is all calculated, but the bigger this number is, the more efficient the engine is, which is basically the more work it can do for the amount of fuel that you put through it. So the more delta V you can get for the amount of fuel. That's going to be 1900 delta V. I mean, this thing itself might be able to break atmosphere. I mean, that's a lot of delta V. With a thrust to weight ratio of 1.69? That's a little low. What if... No, we're going to go ahead and make this multi-stage. I want to make sure that this thing is going to get into space. Now, do I want to put a solid booster on there? No. No. We're going to go with liquid engines. I'm just going to stack a whole bunch of these liquid fuel tanks on here. We're going to go with... Come on. 3... and 4. And then let's put the KW Rocketry Wildcat V on that guy. 1.85, 1500. You know what? That should be sufficient. Just a really simple rocket. It's going to need some fins to keep this thing from flipping all over the place. So we have some nice stability there. Alright. So that's needle 1. 2-stage. For crew. Let's save it. Let's go to the astronaut complex. I'd like to hire in a new pilot. We have a bunch of pilots who are available. Dury, Grahat. I like Katzenkerman here. Yeah, we'll bring in Katzen. There we go. Let's see. Let's go ahead and head back. Let's take out Valentina. And let's put in Katzen. And let's go ahead and launch this thing. The goal is going to be to keep this thing suborbital. We may be able to push orbit, but the plan is to keep it suborbital. At least for now for this flight. Alright. Stability assist is on. Let's go ahead. Oh, we have atmospheric pressure scan. Mission control checks the readings against the local weather report to calibrate the barometer. Yep, there you go. And let's punch it. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over a little bit off the pad. See, its thrust to weight is a little low. Delta V is dropping. We are breaking 450 meters per second, 500 meters per second. Alright, deploy all except EVA. Alright, 100 million pascals. That can't be right. Alright, temperature scan. The air seems to be cooled by the water and the temperature is lower than average here. Alright, let's actually stage this thing off. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get all these guys kept. Yeah, and during like flights like this, I'm probably not going to be able to read all of those. Alright. We have actually got an apoapsis that's above the atmosphere. I'm going to go ahead and push this a little bit higher to about there. Alright, so let's set up a maneuver node here. How much delta V do I need to actually achieve an orbit? I need 1461, and I do not have that. Okay, so we're not going to be able to achieve orbit with this. Alright, deploy all except EVA. Atmospheric pressure scan. Hold on. Goo. The goo seems to have clumped up into a sphere. It also appears to have become brittle. We're about to burn. Seriously, you want to know the temperature now? We're in space. Who cares? The instrument reads 0. It's as if we're in a vacuum. Indeed. Alright, if I want to burn this... Well, it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to pretend like we're going to attempt to achieve orbit. Burn off all the fuel in this guy. So if we throw in some strap-on solid boosters, we could probably get enough kick to get this thing into orbit. So we just need a little bit more. A little bit more delta V, and we can get there. And we're going to burn out there. Alright, let's go ahead and do the EVA. Get that EVA report. Take the data. Store the data. Board. Do another crew report. It seems we're very much in space right now. The sky seems to be mostly below us. Yes. Alright, we are starting to descend. So I'm going to orient this thing to jettison the engine. Engine jettisoned. And let's prepare for re-entry. Alright, let's go ahead and time warp until we hit the atmosphere again. We have an EVA report. Can I risk it? Take the EVA report. You're starting to feel you should really get back into the ship. Yes. I agree with that assessment. Alright, keep the stability assist on. Now, once we start getting deep enough into the atmosphere, aerodynamic forces should keep us stable. Alright, so let's go ahead and warp a little bit. Alright. So let's turn the SAS off. It is gonna wanna... Hopefully it isn't gonna want to flip around. Hopefully that heat shield is heavy enough that it'll keep the vessel oriented correctly. Alright. We no longer have the heating effects, but we're still moving pretty fast. $13,000 meters. I'd like to get that speed below... that's... oscillation isn't me. Looks like that's about as slow as it's going to go. Alright, let's deploy the chutes. Actually get some additional braking. Done. An EVA report? Yeah, that ain't going to happen. He's done until the actual chutes deploy. Oh, there is that the engine? I think that's the engine. Yeah, just hit the water. Alright, so yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get to the point where the chutes actually deploy. Alright, let's get rid of that heat shield. That should slow us down pretty good. Let's go ahead and EVA. Get that EVA report. Yes. Take data, stored data. Get back on board before we hit. So we're at 300 meters. And way out in the middle of the ocean at night. Alright. Time accelerate and get us to the ground, or, well, to the water. Alright, 25 meters to go. Alright, there's the water. And there we are. And we actually have, deploy all except the EVA, a crew report. Our mateys, let's show those landlubbers at KSC who's the masters of the high seas truly are. Okay. The water is colder than the surrounding air. Okay. Let's go ahead and EVA. Let's get that surface sample. Alright, you've taken a sample of the water. It appears to dramatically increase the surface humidity of anything it touches. Fascinating. EVA report. You calculate the number of snacks you should bring to be able to swim to KSP. A lot is what the answer to that would be. Because I don't think we're on the same side of the planet as KSP. Well, yeah, we're about a quarter of the way around. Alright, let's recover the vessel. That's 132.3 science earned. Very nice. So let's see what that gets us. I want basic science, which gets us batteries. I need... What do I need for... like, solar panels? Do I need this for solar panels? There is a photovoltaic panel in that. Miniaturization. Let's grab that. We don't quite have enough for this. But that's fine. Because this gets us the Science Junior. Which, what we're going to do, before we go orbital here, I'm going to open up the hopper. We're going to strip off these bits because we don't need them. We're going to throw that Science Junior on there. Make sure we have enough parachutes so that it doesn't destroy and get destroyed on impact. We're going to go ahead and launch that. Well, the thing is that as soon as we put it on the pad, it's going to want us to do an experiment. Yep, there it is. Material study. You think that this experiment is rather superfluous. Yeah, but it gets us 7.5 science. I'll take it. And then we're just going to recover the vessel real quick. And then let's actually put this thing in flight. Alright. I probably should have angled over a little bit. I think I can induce a little bit of lateral velocity if I just turn it over some. So I don't want that to come back down and like hit one of the facilities, though it might. Oh, that's hit something. Okay, it's not gonna hit any of the buildings, but it might hit the launch pad. It did hit near the launch pad, but didn't quite hit the pad itself. Alright, let's accelerate this, get this down to the ground. Alright, so the next thing we're going to want to do is get an orbital rocket built. And this science, I hope, is going to let me unlock some parts that I'm going to want to have for that particular endeavor. Oh, I did not want to press that button. Alright, we have a crew report. We actually have an EVA report to do here. Surface sample. The substance is what makes the scientists yell at us when we go into the labs without cleaning our boots first. Okay, EVA report. This is truly a very tiny step for Kerbal kind. Alright. Take data, store, reboard. Alright, nothing else to do. Let's go ahead and recover. A lot of this at the beginning of the game, when you're doing the science stuff, is just get the new experiment that you have and run it through a few paces to gather some science. Alright, they got us 30 more science, so that should allow me to unlock advanced rocketry. Not quite enough for general construction yet. But that should be enough for me to make some modifications. We opened up needle 1, load. And actually, I think we can probably toss this entire stack. So we're going to make sure that we bring the Science Junior with us. Yeah, that ought to do it. Now, as far as fuel tanks, we should have the new SA2 LFTs. Let's see, if I put the Vesta VR1 on there, with 2 of those, thrust to weight goes down to 1.13, but we get 2800 delta B. Which should be plenty. Probably actually is overkill. And I want to put three of these. with the Maverick 1D engines. 1.95 thrust to weight, 1400 meters per second. That'll get us off the pad. I think still we're going to strap some boosters to this thing. We're going to go with the Globe 1 SRBs. That should give us some little extra kick. I'll probably want to go with 3 of them. Let's see. What about 6 of them? That gives us 3.24 thrust to weight for 484 meters per second. So that basically is enough kick to get us pretty quick off the pad. That's a ton of delta V that we have on this. That's fine. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put these big fins back here on this, and we're going to put these basic fins on this stage. Hopefully, that won't cause a problem. And this is going to be the needle 2. And should get us to orbit. And Jeb's going to fly this one because he's Jeb. Alright, how do I want to do the staging? Alright, these kick us off. And then when those jettison, we want to immediately fire that engine. Yeah, that should be good. Alright, save it. Let's fly it. Let's fly it. Throttle up. Though we don't need it for the these first few seconds of the launch. SAS engaged. Can I get it nosed over just a little bit? Alright, so far so good. Gonna start putting some torque on this rocket to start getting some horizontal velocity beginning my gravity turn. The fins are doing their job, and this thing is really stable. I'm pushing this thing over as hard as I can. It is flying good. What do we got? We can do a material study. Do it. Take it. And a crew report. Take it. Let's close those doors. All right. Get the engine engaged. We already have basically an apoapsis above the atmosphere. So now it is just a matter of finishing the rest of the burn. Let's get that maneuver calculated. It's a 2-minute and 21-second burn time. All right, tell you to hold the maneuver node, which is going to be a 1 minute and 10 seconds is when we want to engage this. So right about now. We need, what, 1,300 meters per second. We have 2,400 in the tank. Now, this might actually be able to get us on a moon intercept, potentially. But we don't have any life support here. We don't have any batteries. We don't have any solar panels. We don't have the life support supplies or anything like that yet, so we can't really do that. But it's good to know that this rocket potentially can get us at least to a moon flyby trajectory. Maybe with a little bit of modification. I got 1,200 Delta V. Oh yeah, this could absolutely get us to the moon. Alright, apoapsis height, 119,000 meters. Periapsis, 82,000 meters. We are in a stable orbit. Yeah, he has no supplies. I think he has 14 days that he can live without any supplies. We are definitely not going to go that long. What I would like to do is complete an orbit. What's the electrical? An hour 21. Okay, we are going to have EVA reports we can take. EVA report as we pass over the different biomes. EVA report, reboard. Oh, just missed it. There we go. There's another EVA report we can take. Oh, EVA report, do it. Board. Good. There's still something we can do. It's probably like over the shores, which are extremely small slivers of land. Alright, there's sunrise. We still have electric charge left. That's the important part. Alright, where is Jeb? There. There. EVA report. EVA report. Do it. Reboard. There was something there. Alright, we got another EVA report. EVA report. Do it. Reboard. Alright, and we've just completed an orbit. Alright, so now we need to deorbit. Flip us around retrograde. And let's start giving it some I want to get the periapsis height down to around 20,000 meters. Alright, now I have a mod that's going to tell me where we're going to actually land. Are we going to land in the light? Not quite. That's alright. Let's go ahead and push forward until we hit the atmosphere. Alright, so let's go ahead and jettison this thing. Alright, I'm going to tell Jebediah to hold a retrograde orientation. Keep that heat shield between us and fiery death. And then let's accelerate. This is going to take a little while because I'm coming in at a fairly gentle slope because I want to make sure that we spend a lot of time in the atmosphere burning off speed. Don't want to come in too fast. Or, well, too steep of an angle. Too steep of an angle, you might not burn off enough speed fast enough, and you'll smash into the ground. Something is popping over there. Alright, let's go down to normal speed. A blader is looking fine on the heat shield. Alright, judging by the trajectory here, we're going to be in this for another couple of minutes, maybe. We're burning off velocity. Below 1,500 meters per second. experiments, at least until we land. Then maybe we'll have something else. And it definitely looks like we're coming down over land. Oh, I hope we're not going to come down on the mountains or any really hilly terrain, because that could be bad. Oh, we have something. We have a temperature scan. Do it. There's no noise in the mountains. Has gotten stuck to display the thermometer. Okay, yeah. An EVA report. That's not going to happen. This is technically the mountain biome. Hopefully we wind up somewhere flat, because I don't want to get all the way through this, end up on a steep slope, and then destroy the ship rolling down a hill. Right, so right around 275-ish meters per second, we can deploy the chutes. Disable SAS. Yep, looks like we're going to end up in a fairly flat area. That's fortunate. Alright, as soon as the parachutes deploy, we can do this EVA report. And we're down to 4.4 meters per second. Get rid of the heat shield. That should slow us down even further. EVA report. Take it. Alright. Let's go ahead. Time warp to the ground. And then we'll call this good. And we'll probably call it good for the day as well. Our first episode. Don't tip. Okay. Deploy all. Alright, the Google's gurgling as if it is gasping for air in the thin atmosphere of the highlands. Temperature scan. Thermometer tube seems to have exploded in the thin atmosphere here. We really shouldn't have brought the cheapest thermometer available. Oh well, no temperature reading today. Okay. Atmospheric pressure scan. You make adjustments to the barometer to get an accurate reading at such high altitude. Hopefully they appreciate your work back at KSC. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to EVA. That's the EVA report. You catch yourself as you nearly step onto a 100-meter crevasse and slide down a massive glacier. No wonder they call this the Highlands. Okay. Surface sample. This is dirt and grass and some small rocks. You suspect this isn't going to be much of a groundbreaking discovery. Well, it's something at least. Take the data, store the data, reboard the craft, and that should get us a new crew report. KSC, we have landed, I think. The altimeter still shows way too high for us to be on the ground, but our velocity is 0, so there you have it. Maybe. Okay. Alright, let's recover the vessel and its pile of science. Alright, 110 science earned. Gets us up to 137 science. Done. Alright, what can we unlock here? Storage technology, recycling. Recycling module. Don't necessarily need that. Heavy rocketry. propulsion systems, fuel systems. No, we don't necessarily need that just yet. I could use general construction. Grab that. Aviation. Let's see, landing. We are going to need that. Flight control. Yes. Advanced survivability. Life support tank. Viewing cupola. I mean, some of that we're going to need at some point. But I think I'm going to save this science, because what I really want to get is the heavy rocketry and the fuel systems. Basically, these three will allow us to get larger rockets. Alright. So, I think what the plan is, we're going to end the episode here. And what the plan is going to be for next episode is to make modifications to this rocket for attempting a moon flyby, which means it's going to need to be able to recharge its batteries. Well, it's going to need some batteries. It's going to need to be able to recharge them. And it is going to need some life support to sustain our Kerbals for a long duration spaceflight. So, that is going to be the plan. Alright, but that's going to be for next episode. So for now, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.